See an icon, do you? Oh, okay. All right. Welcome to the 36th meeting of the Tax Structure Commission. I'm Deb Brighton, and my fellow commissioners are Steve Trinholm and Bram Kleppner. And we're also joined by two staff members from the Joint Fiscal Office, Saoirse Anderson and Sean Sheehan. And if you are listening by YouTube, we would love to get your comments. You can send them to taxcommission@leg.state.vt.us. All right, so I think the first, this is just going to be a short sort of logistical check-in meeting, I think. And the first item on the agenda is the minutes from the last meeting, January 4th.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, they're approved. So I think the next thing is figuring out where we are in the work plan.
Right. Yep. And Saoirse, if you want to put up that the next document, I just did an update of last week's remaining work plan, crossing out all the items from last week that we completed and making the one adjustment to date, giving the public feedback until the 21st. And then the question, which we emailed around today, that House Ways and Means is interested in having, the one, yeah, right there. Yep. Yeah, and if you hit refresh, the draft minutes would have shown up too. So as we noted, and Saoirse, I guess you were been in touch with the committee. As I said, you may have more to add on that, but they had those 3 times. I know Bram, you said Thursday morning would be best for you. I don't know if Deb or Steve, if you have a preference for what your windows.
Let me go back and take a quick look.
Yeah, so we said Thursday 8:45 to 12 was the window, and
Yeah.
Saoirse, it wouldn't be the whole time, right? It'd be a 2-hour block. They're flexible on which 2 hours, I understand.
Yes.
Wasn't Thursday afternoon 2 to 4 was a block too, right?
That was one. That was the worst for Bram. I don't need to speak for you,
Okay.
Bram. And then Friday from 10 to 1 was the third block, and Bram said that one would also work. That would be the second best from Bram's perspective.
Yeah, that would be the first best for me.
The Friday 10 to 1. And Deb, do you have a?
Thursday morning is the best for me. Friday, I can arrange. It would be better for me Friday if it were 10 to noon,
In the noon? Okay.
the first part of that window, but
There's a tax workshop though at noon on Friday. So I forgot about that. That's going to cut. It means that we're not going to be able to meet until noon. We'd have to stop at 11:45.
Oh, okay.
okay.
But from Deb's,
Thursday morning is the best for the committee schedule the way it's looking right now, but we obviously want you guys to come in. So
okay.
I'm sorry, Saoirse, did you say Thursday morning's the best?
yeah, for the committee, but we can also make Friday morning work as long as we can end by 11:45.
And Steve, is Thursday morning not possible for you?
It's very hard.
All right, well, it sounds like Friday morning is what we should do then, huh?
So roll from 10 to 11:45 sounds like will be the target.
And they're on the floor at 9:30. We expect it will be short, but if something strange happens and it goes long, just be aware we might need to reschedule, or 10:15 might be more realistic for a start time.
And so what are they looking for exactly? Do we know? Or I'm not quite sure
I-
how to
I
plan.
believe they're gonna look at the draft report ahead of time. I think they'd like somebody to talk about just the structure and format of the draft report, a little bit of the history, and then they might have some particular questions or feedback from the draft.
Okay, so they don't want a presentation per se.
No, this is more informal,
Okay.
because the report is not finalized yet. They thought it
Yeah.
might be good to get in at this point in the process.
Okay, so then it seems like there's plenty of time.
Yeah,
All right, so does that sound okay with everybody?
Fine with me.
Yeah, we'll plan a sort of 10:15 to 11:45
yes.
session on Friday, and I
And
think,
so do we just connect by Zoom, and whenever they get off the floor, they open it up? Or how does it?
I'll be in contact with you guys all morning. I'll send you the Zoom link, and as soon as they're off the floor, I'll let you guys know. Okay?
Okay,
Great.
thanks, Sergio.
You're welcome.
Great. So with that cleared up, and the rest of the remaining schedule, as far as I know, isn't any different than it was last Monday. Unless anyone has anything else to raise or add, this is what we're doing the next couple of weeks.
Sean, you got an email, and so did I, about the fact that the Vermont Futures got left out of the acknowledgements for testimony.
Yeah, I responded to Lori and John about that. I don't think I realized you were on the email too. They were,
Yeah, that's fine.
yeah, they were the ones I noted. They had asked, I let them know that the appendices were, were incomplete, and actually was the agenda item for today's meeting, and that certainly from the outline, plan was to acknowledge and thank everyone who did provide testimony. We certainly have them. They're included in the list of 40 or whatever that's referenced in the first chapter, but we'll be talking today about where exactly to put them and everyone else who testified for that matter. Yeah, and that was the only, I think, to the question about feedback. As I mentioned, that's the closest, I guess, to substantive feedback we've gotten, although it's obviously early, and we got a lot of responses that thanking us, people letting us know they're putting it out to their membership to review. I think a couple of you have sent around links too, so it does look like it's getting out there, and people will be reviewing it. But obviously, being not a short report, wouldn't expect too many same day responses. But it sounds like those will be in the works for the next week and a half or so.
yeah,
Sean,
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Deb.
I was just wondering if for the YouTube, you could mention how to find the draft.
Sure. Right. So anybody who's watching on YouTube, if they go to today's meeting, the January 11th meeting on the Tax Structure Commission site, which may be how you access the YouTube. But if you go there under the supporting documents, there is, Sorcia could probably look now before we go to the next document, but from the supporting documents, there's a final draft final report. And we actually have the two versions up for people watching who want to review it. The draft final report version is the clean version. That'll be the easiest to read. We also have the track changes version up there, which represents all of the changes made after last meeting on the 4th. Yeah. So right there, the third item down, draft final report, is the clean version. That's the one that we circulated, put that link out to the stakeholder and pushed out to the for review there. And then the 4th item down, which probably not too many people other than the 3 of you want to see, but that draft report with track changes is the one that shows the edits made after the last version from last week.
Thanks. Graham?
Yeah, I was just looking at the timeline and thinking that, we're gonna get a certain amount of public feedback. I know, as I said, the Public Policy Committee at VBSR asked me to sit down with them and gather their thoughts, and I think we kind of get the last of that together on January 21st. We may be hard pressed to kind of fully absorb, react to, and incorporate any feedback that we decide will improve what we're recommending. So, sort of thinking we probably want to share feedback as we get it. I guess we haven't gotten any substantive feedback yet. As Sean says, it hasn't been very much time, and there are lots and lots of pages. But I wonder if that makes sense to everyone to kind of, as we get it, send it around so we can all start thinking about, and we can discuss each piece at its earliest possible convenience, so that we have as much time as possible to work on these things and get everything we want to incorporated by the 8th.
I was also wondering, Sean, is there a way that we can pick up the comments off the website when they come in? Or do we have to wait for you to package them, or how do we?
Well, I mean, I guess they don't come in from the website per se. We ask people to email the tax commission email address, but certainly we can forward those on to all of you as they come in, so you can get them one at a time, as we close to as soon as we get them. So we certainly can do that. And also, I guess when we talk about next meeting date, probably be premature to discuss it now, since we don't know when we'll be getting feedback. But we had talked about skipping next Monday, being Martin Luther King Day. But if we do find out that there's, as we get those feedback, if we get some feedback tomorrow, I'll forward it to you tomorrow when we get it. If by, say Thursday or Friday, it looks like there's a lot of feedback, or Tuesday, we could throw another meeting in there, as long as we give the public warning. So if you find that there's some points that are being raised, and as Bram says, better to talk them through sooner rather than later, we can throw another meeting on the agenda, on the calendar.
I think it fairly likely that we will hear some substantive questions or issues on Friday from Ways and Means. So we may want to regroup after that, sort of after that, but not on Monday the 18th, I guess.
Yeah, it's up to all of you. I mean, I don't know Sorsh's schedule or otherwise to open up, this the channel to Zoom to there, but we could probably get somebody else from JFO at a point too. So even if you wanted it on a Friday afternoon, like you said, regroup after the Friday morning testimony, or if you wanted to do it after the weekend to see if other
No, I think
testimony
kind
comes
of
in over the weekend.
Friday afternoon or Tuesday afternoon are probably the two most obvious choices.
If it's helpful, I can tell you that Friday afternoon, I could be available early, but there's e-board briefings happening that afternoon. Tuesday morning, I would be free to host a meeting if that works for you guys. Tuesday afternoon, we'll be back in probably committee meetings. So, but I could find a replacement if needed.
Great. Would Tuesday morning look bad for you?
Tuesday morning's pretty difficult for me.
So we can look into getting a replacement then, unless you want to go with Friday afternoon outside of your board time.
I could also do Tuesday in the afternoon from like 12 to 2-ish would work as well, if that works.
Graham, does that work for you?
Yeah, that does work for me. Yes.
Steve?
That would
Okay.
work.
All right.
Okay, great.
So we'll block off 12 to 2 on Tuesday, and
Yeah.
if we get feedback to talk about, we'll keep the meeting, which, like I said,
Yeah.
seems pretty likely we will.
I mean, we can cancel it if nothing comes up, but it's good to hold the slot, I think. Okay.
And noontime meeting, does that mean we get pizza?
Yes, I'll order it. It'll be
Oh, good.
Yes.
All right. So we're okay with the work plan?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right.
You, Sean, you feeling good about where we are and the steps between here and handing it over?
Yeah, I mean, certainly, I think that's really a question back to all of you, but certainly having gone through the formatting, and I think there's a couple more tweaks we talked about to a couple of the charts and things to make them a little more readable, get the font size right. But I think getting a lot of the references up there, and certainly having most of the appendices, it's looking like a report at least, and that there's something calming about that.
Yes, yes, indeed. And we've talked a little bit recently about a transmittal letter, following the Blue Ribbon Tax Commission. I don't know, besides the one in the Blue Ribbon Tax Commission structure report, I've never read or heard of a transmittal letter, so I do not know how common a practice that is, and how important it is. But if we want to write a note to the governor and the speaker and the president pro tem, we should probably do that.
Right. Yeah. And sort of might know too. I mean, my understanding for reports I've submitted to the legislature before, transmittal letters come in different shapes and sizes, from the more informal, the email you send that would have the report as an attachment, to something more formal that's in the shape of a letter. But as far as what the content is, we wouldn't usually have a whole lot substantive in it. But I think the items that all of you had flagged, as far as letting them know that we understand and appreciate that we're in the middle of pandemic response, and that when it works for them, they can review it at their leisure, and when they want you to come present and talk to them and have the conversation, you'll be ready, whether it's sooner or later.
Yeah, although I must say we're higher up on people's radar screen than I would have expected, between Senator Hardy's note to her constituents and Ways and Means wanting to see us this week. People do have in mind that this work is happening and they want to see it. So, maybe our thought that we were, my thought anyway, that we were likely to get pushed aside by the pandemic, maybe that was not an accurate instinct.
Yeah, I think we'll see. So, but I think like you said, and the way you'd phrased it, being open, that'll kind of covers it either way. That you say when works for them, and go talk to them. But I think you're right. It is the signs that it is on people's radar is notable.
So Sean, would you be willing to just draft up a basic transmittal letter
Sure, I'd be happy to.
saying what we talked about? Not,
Yep, absolutely.
We're ready when they're ready.
Yep, I'll do that. I'll draft that and circulate it. Great.
So are we on to the appendices?
I think so. If that works for all of you. Great. So as I noted, I don't know, Sorsha, maybe if we open the track change version and scroll down to page 120 or so.
Oh,
The track change for the draft report.
The draft version, yeah. Unless you guys want to start with looking at Bram's original, outline from the year ago, and then the outline we had from October. This October, which was the last time we really looked at it. If you want to start there, we can, and just to see what you had originally envisioned being in the appendices, and then we could flip back to seeing what's in there now and what's left.
I don't see much point in looking back at the original outline. Our thoughts have evolved enough so that we probably like what we have.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Now.
Great. Yeah, and I agree. As I noted in an email, when I looked back, it looked like everything was covered, and a lot of the things that you had envisioned being in the appendices got pulled into additional chapters, like the income and assets chapter and the restructuring, the benefit cliffs and those pieces. So it doesn't look like there's anything you had identified a year ago that completely fell off the radar.
Mr. Sheehan, what page are we
I
going
think
to?
down around 118 or so, I think, is where the appendices start.
Whoops.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Hold on.
Right. You're right. It's 118 on the clean version. So on the track changes version, it would be right more in the high 120s maybe.
Okay.
That pagination across track changes always throws me. And so really where we had, as I noted right now, the appendix 1, the appendices for the 6th chapter and the 7th chapter, Deb's chapter and Bram's chapters, are pretty substantive. After the references here, so yeah, I guess another 5 or 6 pages. But the chapter 1 acknowledgements is fairly short. And this is where I think in appendix 1, the 2 things I noted would be, 1, we discussed all of your biographies, which are already what you have up on the website. I could just pull those right in. I don't know if with your new gig, Steve, if you want to rewrite any of your biography, and certainly Deb and Bram would be welcome to as well. And those could be a 1-1. This acknowledgements could be a 1-2, or what order they end, I guess, is a open question. And then the third item, probably for this appendix 1-X, one of them would be all the folks who testified who weren't related to the property taxes and education finance. So in that appendix 6, we give the links to all the testimony from folks that testified related to education finance, but everybody that testified on other topics, we haven't folded those in yet. And as I noted, because there weren't as many of them, and most people who testified on other topics don't necessarily fall neatly into a consumption tax or income tax or one chapter, it seemed like maybe putting them all in an appendix to chapter 1 here may be the best way. But again, that's for all of you to decide or give the guidance, and I can work it up accordingly.
Okay.
I think that's fine as long as we don't miss people.
Yeah, I mean, we'll go back and we'll get everybody who isn't included
Yeah.
in education finance, and just so people aren't confused about being missed if they testify in education finance, in that introductory paragraph, we can can reference that everybody that testified related to education finance is in appendix 6-2, I think it is.
Yeah, that sounds good to me as well.
Okay.
Okay, Steve?
Sounds good to me.
Great. I don't know if we want to maybe just scroll down, Sorsha. I'm not sure. I guess I'll leave it up to all of you. You may have reviewed it. We may not need to review the appendix 6-1, 6-2, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. It's
Actually, the 6.1, the numbers of the models don't match the text. And it's because I wanted it to be other models evaluated, not including the one we chose, so that there were only 4. And so I numbered them 1, 2, 3, 4
okay.
in the text. You can see where it's referenced in the chapter.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll go back and do that. Great. And that was the only thing that you or anyone else saw related to 6-1? Okay. And 6-2, not sure if you want to discuss that. We hadn't looked at or discussed before, but I tried to put together the way we discussed, as far as giving the links to the foundational presentations from JFO and Department of Taxes, as well as the testimony, the panel discussion, the other materials we had pulled together. What I didn't include here, and what I guess wanted to ask all of you, Deb, there were some other items and draft documents as far as some of the meeting prep materials, and like this past summer on the outline, and like the outlines to help all the conversations on education finance that you're having. I didn't add those links here. Would it be helpful to add, or would it make this appendix more complete to add in all of those outlines and the working pieces that you had pulled together, or do you feel like that's not helpful?
Yeah, I feel that that's sort of overload.
Yeah.
I think where we ended up, and with the references that help people understand that, it's more important than the other stuff.
Great.
So I think Sean, it's remarkable that you pulled all this stuff together. It's just a lot of stuff, and you couldn't just copy our notes because we didn't do it in the right format and stuff. It's a lot of work. I really appreciate it.
Agreed.
Oh, yeah.
Seconded. Absolutely. It's an awful lot of work.
Yeah. And it's a lot of links, which doesn't make it, pretty to read, and certainly stands out relative to the report proper, where we have things done, the actual with citations, and then everything on the references pages. But I think being appendices, people know they're in for a lot of dense stuff. So
Yeah.
I thought it worked here okay, as long as it all works for all of you.
Yeah, it's not as if they have to read all of this, but it's there if they want to
Yeah.
go on something. So it's really good.
Right. Great. So I guess beyond this, down on the appendices 7, Bram, you said the way you did 7.1 with pulling in those 2 tabs, but not the third and fourth tab of the spreadsheet you had sent.
Yeah.
That to work. And you know, as you saw, I didn't want to overly format them, but I did work in, actually that list there, I added the A through F at the top, as you saw, just in case people could get lost in that big table, to make sure they saw the 6 categories you were breaking out. And I gave them a gray background. The one I wanted to ask about, I think I flagged, unless you have any questions here, Bram. The question I had for you, scroll down, Sorsha, was I think in the last section of this first table, which may be a couple of pages down, maybe down there, was where it, keep going. I think I had put a question or comment there. Oh, actually, it might be above. Actually, just back above, Sorsha. Sorry, things get lost with all those formats. But there was one that was a question for Bram. Oh, right, Bram. Yeah, on this, I don't know if where it says new car dealers, there were all those extra numbers thrown in. I'm guessing that maybe it was just something that FTA had as a formatting issue on their end.
Yeah, I think the reason for that is that the activities undertaken by new car dealers covers a lot of different things in terms of selling new cars, but doing service and doing warranties. So I think they fall under different codes, and different states tax different parts of that differently, I believe. I'm not sure about that, but that's what I recall reading about that line. But it's directly from the original source.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think,
I looked back and I saw it in the original source, and with doing everything else, I didn't have the opportunity to dig beyond there. But but so like we were matching the original source seemed probably good enough. And the other one scrolling down, which I think may be the same source, if you scroll down, I think it's another 2 pages on the same table, where it said new and had, I think, maybe cloud computing. A little further, I think there's a space.
yeah.
Right. Yeah. Blank there. And then there's that blank row, and then there's taxation of cloud computer services new. And then the next 5 or 6 rows seem like they may, they sort of relate to general software cloud type things. But then below that, still in that, what would seem to be the same section, are things that have nothing to do, like mini, self-storage and other stuff. And again, that was one that.
Yeah. So I think sorry, Saoirse, can you go back down to where you just were? So I think that is a header, the cloud computing, and I think it includes all of the lines down to my index in the far left column 264. The ones that don't have separate.
Right, the NAIC codes. Yeah.
So I think that's where that section ends.
Okay. So I could I'll just add a blank. Yep.
That's a natural progression for the NAICS codes, because it is soft. Even though it's software, it's storage, and the NAICS codes go by storage. So maybe, and you probably were going to say this anyway, but maybe just embolden the line between 264 and 265, just to make sure that people know that the cloud computing has stopped.
Yeah, I was just going to say adding a blank row between 264 and 265, because there's a blank row at the top before the start of the cloud computing.
Do we want to put new Bram up there, because although it's something that we're not doing now, it's not a new concept. They actually started doing cloud-based computing, and then with all the hue and cry, they stopped.
Mm. Yeah, so I again, this is that all that formatting and the wording comes from the table posted on the Federation of Tax Administrators website. So I figured they knew better. However, if that's no longer accurate, then I think doesn't hurt anything to delete the word new. I don't think that adds any important information to anyone who will be reading this. And if it makes it more accurate, then let's do that.
Yeah, I think the legislature might pick that right out and say, we've already looked at this and we're looking at it again. So it's one of those things that it takes away from the rest of the table because people get stuck on the thing that they know stands out.
Okay, great. I can delete it, no problem.
Great. That's great.
And I think beyond that, the rest of the other tables here, if there's any questions you have, Bram, or anyone else has, you can look at them. I don't think I had any other substantive questions beyond that. I think what you sent was pretty clear. Just a matter of making it fit on a page. I did want to flag the last one too, although I think you looked at it, Bram, just that you had it highlighted and things, and I went with a mix of italics, bold, and underlining, which may not have been perfect, but at least I printed it in black and white in the grayscale just to make sure I could still cover it, and it seemed
Yeah, no, I think that's very user friendly, since there probably are people who will print this out in black and white, and we want it to make sense to them as well. So.
So I think that's it for the appendices conversation. Like I said, I think the only other piece that I have for my takeaway drafting the appendix 1, everybody that testified there, and I'll pull your biographies into one of the appendix 1s as well. If you have any changes you want, you can send them to me, in the next couple of days, or certainly you can do it as track changes after I send it out. Either way.
That's great.
Yeah. Excellent, Sean.
Yeah.
Great work.
Really, thank you.
Mostly your work. I just did the little formatting, get it.
No. That's mostly your work. We did our work and you did your work, and your work was not easy. So thank you. Steve, your former colleagues at Gallagher Flynn have been burying me under information about the new PPP and the employee retention tax and all the changes to the law.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how much of that you need to grapple with in your new role, but zero. Oh, lucky.
Although I do have to still keep up a little bit, because from time to time, I still keep in contact with the people at GFC. So sometimes questions come up.
Yeah. And Deb, thank you for your help sorting out Lincoln's school district issues.
They're not sorted out yet.
No, they're not, but at least they understand the problem a little better and the implications of various routes they may be taking. So thank you for helping Bay out with that.
You're welcome. But there are a bunch of those happening now. These are divorces in Act 46. And there are just a lot of towns trying to get out of their unified districts and not understanding how in the world they go about figuring out what the tax implications are of that. Interesting votes coming up too, but anyway, so I guess we're not going to talk about substantive report changes or comments at this point. We don't really have comments.
Yeah,
from
I think
anybody that-
we haven't gotten additional feedback from the outside. So if all of you are comfortable with the feedback you'd gotten to date and discussed by last Monday, and if you're comfortable with the the last version as posted, nothing I did on the formatting side messed with anything substantively. If everyone's good with all of that, then there may not be much to discuss at this point.
So anybody have anything else that they want to bring up?
Just as a point, Deb and Bram, I'm not sure if you saw Paul Gillis on the Channel 3 News
No.
last week. They had interviewed him on a certain topic. So it's like, oh, that's him. Now I know what he looks like.
We've been quoting you.
And he wasn't reading a sonnet. That's what he
No,
told me. He was.
It was governmentally related.
Yeah. Yeah. He's a real treasure. So if you get a chance to read any of his stuff, I recommend it.
I will do that.
All right.
I
So,
think the last maybe question would just be, as far as we talked about next, Friday, we have, this coming Friday, we have the window with Ways and Means, and it sounds like it'd be a pretty informal conversation. Do any of you want to talk while you have a few moments now about, will one of you give the overview and each talk about certain parts, or do you just want to see what questions and feedback they have at this stage and let it stay an informal
I would
conversation?
ask them to guide us and tell us what they want us to present, or if they just want us to respond to questions or whatever. But and given that it's the draft stage, it's a little, there may be changes. So I assume it's not getting too substantive. But anyway, I would just recommend that we ask them to tell us what they want.
Right.
And if
So Saoirse, you mentioned the only guidance they gave was that it would be helpful to hear from the commission. Did you say how the commission chose the structure of the report that was chosen and the history of it? Is that what you said, Saoirse?
Yeah, my understanding is that it'd be great to give an overview, a little on the history, and then the structure of the draft report, and then give them I'm going to send the draft report to them again. I think they've all seen it, but just so they can look at it and to provide any feedback they would like to on Friday, or if they have any questions about it. But it would be great if one or all of you would kind of set the stage for the report, and then kind of take it from there, see if they have any questions. And I bet they will, so it'll take care of itself.
yeah.
Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think, who knows? They've got new members, right, who weren't around last session and who certainly weren't involved in the beginning of this process. So,
Well, I think it'll be great for you guys to talk about how you each took a certain section. I mean, that makes sense. They might not realize whether you wrote it all together or somebody took the lead on certain sections, and it'd be nice to walk them through that. How the report finally came together, and then let them ask whatever they might. And then we do have 4 new members on the committee. So
4?
yes.
Oh, could you tell me who they are?
I better not right now.
Okay.
In case I get one of the names wrong. I'm
All right,
sorry,
all right.
But they are
Well-
listed on the Ways and Means website.
We'll look it up. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
I didn't realize it was that different though. So
yeah. So, I think as chair, Deb, it's probably appropriate for you to start and to sort of give them how the commission got started and how we decided to organize ourselves and who did what work and kind of how the, why we ended up with the report organized in 12 chapters the way we do.
Okay. And then they'll know who to follow up with for questions that come under our chapters and stuff like that. Okay.
Mhm.
All right. So unless we hear that they want something else, that's the way we'll proceed. And essentially we're not getting into the substance of our recommendations. Really, we're just responding to their questions, giving them an overview of
They
what,
might offer some feedback. I mean, it's in the
Yeah.
public comment
Yeah,
period,
yeah.
so, yeah. And
Okay,
I'll let you
great.
know if anything changes.
Okay, thanks, Saoirse. Anything else?
Not for me.
Me either.
All right, so we don't even have, this next meeting isn't even a week away.
Yeah,
Like,
not many days.
we'll call it meeting 37.
Mhm.
All right, so is there a motion to adjourn now?
So moved.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thanks a lot. So we'll see you very soon.
Thanks, everybody. See you Friday.
Yep. Friday morning.